The culture of Hawaii and the food of Hawaii is something that is often misinterpreted, even like what is Hawaiian food. Chicken katsu and spam musubi is not Hawaiian food. There's no such thing as Hawaiian barbecue. Hawaiians didn't cook on a barbecue. They cooked in an imu underground. What is the difference between Hawaii food, local food, and Hawaiian food? The menu that we design and the ingredients that we use, because poke is traditionally a pre-colonial, like it's an authentic Hawaiian food, right? Now the version that we make it, that you see in Foodland or at Poke Express or Unreal Poke, it has sesame oil and shoyu. These are not Hawaiian foods, but it has pa'akai, which is Hawaiian salt, limu, which is the seaweed. I guess by including these things in my menu that the random poke joints that are around here don't include, this is my way of demonstrating food activism. Leading by example and with aloha rather than making a fuss.
Well, I love the San Gabriel Valley.
Welcome to the MySGV podcast.
So I grew up here and I still live in Alhambra.
I was raised in between Temple City and Alhambra.
Eventually resided in South San Gabriel.
Our mission is to capture and share the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley.
Monterey Park has pretty much been my whole life.
Well, I'm proud to say that I was born and raised in the San Gabriel Valley.
We believe our diversity is what makes the SGV great. And no matter where you are from in the San Gabriel Valley, you will feel welcome. All right, SGVers, welcome back to another episode of the MySGV podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you are new here, we bring you the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley. And if you are a returning listener, thank you so much for spending this time with us. We do appreciate it. Jordan, when I saw the Poke Flight online on social media, I was like, where was that when I went there?
Yeah, we have a rotating menu. Yeah.
So it's always rotating then.
It's always rotating depending on the event we're at, the scale. But the Poke Flight, that's one of our bangers for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I saw it on social media at, I think, where did you pop up at?
We were at BNC Teriyaki in Monrovia.
BNC Teriyaki. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, I've been seeing this guy on social media. Now I have a reason to go. I'm going to go check out the poke. Yeah. But when I went there, I only had, I think you were serving the poke nachos.
Yeah.
Which were amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
They were packaged up so that everything stayed crispy. I assembled it at home.
Good.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Hey, we're trying.
So when you came here today, you're like, oh, which one did you like? And I was like, I think I only tried one, but I saw online that there's multiple ones. So
yeah, we have a few flavors. Yeah.
I'm definitely down. So is that on road? Is that available if I go on Thursday?
The Poke Flight?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Anytime we're doing like a pop-up that's not at like a festival, you'll pretty much be able to get the Poke Flight.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
We used to do them at the festivals, but it just became a lot to serve that much and different variations. But at BNC Teriyaki, Poke Flight will be available. Yep.
Okay. My neighbors actually are from Big Island, so I told them, and they're like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, nice.
They're like, "Where is it?"
Yeah.
Because there's no good poke around here.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm excited. So now they sort of know what the guest is about. But before we get into that, thank you to Paris Baguette for sponsoring the delicious pastries each and every week for our guests. They're amazing. Every time I open the box, the guests are like, "Well, do I pick one or get the whole box?" So
yeah, I'm taking the whole box. No, just kidding.
It's always the whole box. Thank you to them. Go check them out in the city of San Gabriel on Las Tunas and say hi to Jason for us. He came from a small town on the Big Island with big flavors, deep roots, and a passion for sound. Raised in Pepe, ekeo, Hawaii, he grew up on his grandmother's pasteles, his parents' home cooking, and a cultural blueprint built on aloha and community. When he moved to the SGV in 2008 to pursue audio engineering, he didn't wait around. He landed an internship at Doggystyle Records, working with the likes of Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, and J-Rock. His beats eventually took on a life of their own, earning millions of streams in the lofi space, and leading him to become the producer and on-air contributor for the Lone Lobos Podcast with Cobra Kai's Xolo, Maridueña, and Jacob Bertrand. But that's just one side of the story. In 2023, he launched Unreal Poke, a native Hawaiian-owned food pop-up that's already made waves at Smorgasburg LA, the 626 Night Market, and Head in the Clouds, all rooted in food activism and cultural authenticity. He's a creative, a culinary storyteller, and a full-time dad who's passing on legacy through every bite. Please welcome to the show, Jordan JMKM Maldonado. Jordan, welcome.
Hey, mahalos. Thank you for having me, Russell.
Yeah.
What an intro. You put that together nicely.
So I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you.
You know, so we started that conversation earlier, but I was like, okay, anytime I see a poke place, I'm like, And we had the conversation about Poke Express in Vegas, right?
Yes, good poke, yeah.
So I was like, oh, is this going to be the legit stuff, you know? But I'm glad that you're not only that you're here in the studio, but that you're here in the 66.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. 66 is home for me now. You know, I've been here since 2008, like you said. So no good. There's poke out here. Don't get me wrong. No disrespect to people that make poke or sell poke here, but it's a little different from what we do, to say the least. Yeah.
Yeah. So we accept you even though you're a transplant and you're not born here. Like everybody here, we're all from all over the world. Yeah. Right. So, but let's start with that, Jordan. What is your connection to the San Gabriel Valley?
Yeah, you know, so when I moved here from Hawaii, to California, it was unknown where I was gonna stay because all I know was that I was in school. I went to school in Arizona for 8 months first, and they were like, "We'll get you an internship, but you need to move to the city first." It's a really unique program. A lot of these sound engineering programs, like the ones in Hollywood or in Orlando, you do a program and then you're done, and then they send you off and they say thank you. This one, in order to graduate, you need to be on an internship. So I said, I want to intern in LA, right? So I had to move from Arizona to here, and I have a brother that lives in Vegas. He came to help me move. My dad from Hawaii came to help me move, and we were like bouncing around motels trying to find an apartment. We were on like websites looking for places. So by happenstance, I ended up in San Gabriel, like here where we're at, just like Mission and Las Tunas, that area. And I almost ended up there was one apartment in Hawthorne, one in South Central. And then I remember the one in Hawthorne, I remember pulling up, and it was my first time being in like a housing project style apartment. And me and my dad walked in, and we just like, he said, no, we walked out, you know, and we're looking, and then somehow we found SGV, and it was really cool because I was like, well, it's only 8 miles away from Hollywood, and you know, it's just the 10 freeway. And so thankfully, I'm sure my dad had a big part of like designing that and making sure I wasn't so far in a really bad area, you know, no disrespect to those other communities, but we got lucky and we found a really sweet 1-bedroom small apartment right there off Las Tunas, and instantly it felt like familiar because of like the food, the people, like, you know, the SGV it does remind me a lot of home in the community, and not just like the Asian food and how diverse we are here, but it felt like I was in like Oahu, for example. It reminded me of like Honolulu specifically. Like I'm from Big Island, a little more country, but I felt like I was in like Honolulu area, you know?
Had you heard of the 626 in Hawaii?
No, I mean, aside from Lilo and Stitch, you know, 626, but no, I mean, I had come out here a year before to look at some schools and ended up deciding the school in Arizona, not the one out here. And I remember like, you know, at most Pasadena, you know, and when I first moved here, you know, funny thing, coincidentally, one of my best friends was also out here, and he was in Monrovia. And I remember like the first fun fact I learned about the SGV was that Next Friday was filmed in downtown Monrovia. Did you know that?
Yes,
yeah.
I did, yeah.
So like, no, I didn't know what I was getting into. I just remember looking around and seeing like all the Asian restaurants and being like, okay, we got rice here. Okay, we got rice. We're good. You know what I mean? Like that was a big concern for me.
So I've been to Hawaii like maybe 5 times. Mm-hmm. I've been to Big Island once. Mm-hmm. I know that they're very different, right?
Oh, yeah.
So for someone who doesn't know, like what was it like growing up on the Big Island?
Yeah. So growing up Big Island is a lot more slow. Like we have, you know, a couple traffic lights, no skyscrapers, no freeways. Honolulu has those things. Honolulu is like a little bit more like LA. Freeways, skyscrapers, high rises. But it's very slow, you know. I grew up specifically more in like on the countryside, like 10 miles out of Hilo properly. A lot of people know Hilo or Kona. So by default, you'll catch me saying I'm from Hilo, but I'm originally from Pepe, like, and then I went to school in Hilo because that's the closest high school, you know. Kind of like if you're talking to someone that's from like Nebraska, they'll be like, "Where are you from?" You might not be like, "Oh, I went to Marquepo." You'll just be like, "I grew up in LA." But then someone might check you and be like, "Brah, you're from Monterey Park. You're not from LA, right?" Yeah. So that's kind of what Hilo is like. When I say I'm from Hilo, I represent Hilo. But yeah, from Pepe, real country style. I don't know if you know about the plantations out there. It's a plantation town.
When I went, I was in the Scouts. So we were there for 2 weeks and we
Okay.
just sort of did a touristy thing. So I may have visited some stuff, but I was like 12 years old at the time.
Yeah. And this was Big Island?
Yeah.
What did they have you do? Did they have you like, I know there's a big Scout presence in Hawaii.
Yeah. We stayed on a Pupakea, which I think on Oahu.
Yeah.
And
North Shore.
there was like a Hawaiian troop that we stayed with. And then we did some touristy stuff on Big Island, but yeah. And then every time I went back afterwards, it was Oahu or Maui.
Oh, yeah. I've been to Maui only for the airport. Like, I really want to visit Maui. I was telling my wife that we should just go and just play tourist. Like, go enjoy some of the other islands. And because we always go home to Big Island family and do real, like, family stuff, you know? But
I wouldn't do Road to Hana again.
Oh, yeah, scary. You drove
tough.
it?
I drove it, yeah.
Yeah, it's one road, consolidates down to bridges. So that's like Big Island. Maui is the closest to Big Island, I would say. The old highway, we call it scenic route, is just like Road to Hana, but not as long, I would say. Where if it's raining and, you know, it's tough because then you also got to deal with tourists that don't know how to drive Road to Hana, trying to get through. And then, but yeah, Maui's beautiful. Yeah.
So what kind of stuff did you get into as a kid?
Yeah, as a kid, obviously, music was like my first big love. I mean, just typical stuff. And you know, I'm a millennial, yeah. So like, we were right on the cusp of internet and no internet. So I had we played with Pogs and yo-yos and stuff like that. But then also, we were the first ones to be like designing websites, HTML on MySpace and all that stuff. So I started getting to building computers when I was really young. I used to sell spam musubi and CDs in school, and then I would like order computer parts off the back of magazines. I'd like give my mom the money, and then she would order stuff because there was no Best Buy, there's no, Guitar Center. So by the time I was like in middle school, I was already like releasing like mixtapes and putting out music online and entering remix contests on the internet and winning and being like, I remember being like, I'd market myself. This is before Soulja Boy. I'd be like the hottest 14-year-old producer from Hawaii, like just on like websites and telling people like I make beats and I'm from Hawaii. So I learned that Hawaii was part of my like my marketing, which is pretty interesting to say that out loud now. But yeah, and then of course, the typical stuff, just growing up in Hawaii, you have family values, you have get-togethers, food becomes a big part of it, learning how to cook things, like seeing my grandma cook, seeing my mom cook.
Was it like traditional Hawaiian stuff or a mix?
Mix. So my mom's side is Japanese, so she would do a lot of cooking, and I'd see her make things like katsu and nishime, and we have like a traditional New Year celebration where we do ozoni soup, which is like a good luck soup. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
So we would do that, and then I would see like fresh sashimi, and my grandpa had a really good like salted fish recipe that would go with the soup. So seeing that and I remember just being like, yo, this is really good. Like, I don't understand. But we weren't super close to my Japanese side. So my Hawaiian Puerto Rican side, my grandma did like traditional like Puerto Rican stuff. So she would sell food after church and stuff. And so her dish was what was called the patele or pastele, depending on what part of like Puerto Rico you're from. So it's kind of like a Puerto Rican tamale. Plantains, or we would do green bananas in Hawaii. So the Puerto Rican food in Hawaii is a lot different than traditional Puerto Rican food because of access to ingredients. Just like the Chinese food, the Japanese food, there's substitution of ingredients. So instead of plantains and yuca and potato, they would use green banana and things like that. Instead of banana leaves, it was wrapped in foil, So she would sell that by the dozen, and that was her business, like almost full time. I would say, like, there wasn't a single time that if we were at her house and it wasn't a holiday, she was in the garage busting out like hundreds of them, or if there wasn't a single holiday where we didn't just have like a bunch of those as well. So she became known as the Patele lady, So
sounds like she had a lot of hustle.
Oh yes. So yeah, that was the upbringing,
And were you helping out in the kitchen?
A little bit. I mean, Holidays, yeah. I remember graduating from, okay, you're making the juice, which is all you got to do is mix 1 part fruit punch syrup to 5 parts water. To I do remember getting older and helping with like the mac salad, for example, or we would make this thing called pumpkin crunch, which is like a pumpkin pie but in a cake format. So then eventually like we would bring that, but I would help my mom make that. So she was pretty hands-on in the kitchen, like do it her way, and we would watch her do it. But I don't remember her letting us really get hands-on. But I mean, I would help by helping taste, like I remember running around and just like her like giving me little samples, or you know what I mean, like, here, try this. Like that was because she would babysit, yeah. So but yeah, that was fun.
Were you accepted amongst like native Hawaiians there? I mean, if there even is that many?
Yeah, I mean, so absolutely, because we're all mixed over there. So there are cultural practices growing up in Hawaii that, it depends on your family and where you're from. There are people that are watermen, that they are, historically, they do the fishing, they do the spear fishing, the diving, and there are people that are hunters that live more upland, or we call it up Mauka. So Mauka is like towards the mountain. So my family historically, because they come from the plantation countryside, they're more up Mauka. So I come from a family of hunters, and they fish as well.
Do you guys hunt boar there?
Yeah. Boar, sheep. One of my uncles, he's really heavy on that. There's not a single time where I go home to visit that he's not showing me something that he caught, or he's raising. But it's really interesting because of, the way that religion plays a part in the culture. Some people, they distance themselves from like traditional Hawaiian values. Some people continue with like, Hawaiian culture practices. So my great grandmother, who I never got to meet, but my older brothers do remember, she spoke fluent Olelo Hawaii to them, and they have pure memories of her and wearing her muumuu and speaking to them in Hawaiian. And I never got to experience that because the language kind of didn't get passed on to my grandma or to my dad.
That's too bad.
Yeah, but in Hawaii, it's really interesting. A lot of people don't know this. I share this with them, but that when you're in elementary and middle school, there is a rotating elder that will come into your classroom. It's called the word for that is kupuna. And it's kind of like, I don't know if you remember, like in some schools, they might have someone from DARE come in, or someone to talk about Smokey the Bear. There's always like visitors in the classroom. So we had our kupuna hour. So every week they would come and teach us, how to count in Hawaiian and teach us different things. And we had this thing called May Day. So every May we would celebrate with like a mock court of the Hawaiian monarchy, and each grade gets assigned like a member of the court. So the Hawaiian culture is very much ingrained in the school systems there, even if you're not native Hawaiian. So I got to experience all those things as well. And as I moved out here, I also started learning a little bit more of the language as well, trying to keep that going. There's a bit of a Olelo resurgence happening right now with people learning to speak Hawaiian. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's a big part of what I've been doing for the past few years as well.
Do you speak Pidgin? And is there a different way of speaking Pidgin from island to island?
Yeah, good question. Yeah. So the Pidgin comes out if I'm talking to someone. Like if my dad was to call me right now and I was to answer the phone, it would instantly switch. It comes out like if you listen to some of my videos or when I'm saying certain words, but definitely from island to island. But I also think it's generational. I think now there's like a universal accent because of the internet. I notice a lot of, even the kids from back home from Hilo, like the teenagers now, they're speaking less Pidgin than we spoke when we were in high school because they have access to the internet. They're consuming people that don't speak Pidgin. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But yeah, Pidgin it's another language. If people ask me how many languages I say I speak English and Pidgin. Yeah.
Like when you go home, you're like, oh, you just speak Pidgin as a natural way of speaking.
Yeah, I went to when I went to Hawaii with my business partner from Honorable Poke, Emran, a couple years ago, and he likes sharing that whenever, like, as soon as I got there, it just turns on from like, even like I would almost guarantee if we're flying Hawaiian Airlines and if I'm on the plane and the flight attendants are from Hawaii, I'm already switching. Yeah, it's code switching, Some of it comes out, like I think we tend to say like, yeah, at the end of things, like this is good, yeah, or that's a Pidgin thing, or
you say pau.
Pao is like done, you know.
Yeah.
So it's in my household we use like things like that. Pao, you know, bocha is one of them. Bocha is like shower. I think that's like a Japanese slang as well. Big Island, but I like when I meet people from out here. We all when I meet people out here that's from like Oahu, I would like to be like, oh, let's talk about, you know, what do you call this? And then I'll be like, I call this that. I call this that, and they'll be like, what? So I think like for example, Big Island, all the other islands, like they call snow cones shaved ice. But on the Big Island, do you know what we call it?
Shave ice?
Ice shave.
Ice shave.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then people will roast me and they'll be like, oh, where are you from? Island Big. Like, you know, how come you guys say ice shave? Where are you from? Island Big. So, you know, or we say things like wagon instead of shopping cart.
Yeah.
You know,
Rubbish
instead of trash. Which I know people from like New Zealand say rubbish as well. Because I met these Maori guys one time and they was like, excuse me, do you have rubbish? And I was like, oh, where are you from? And I just automatically, you know, it happens now with Unrupoka all the time where one of the biggest things is how's it? How's it is a big pigeon thing, but it's also pretty universal because I tend to, when people come up to the booth, if they say how's it, I'll just be like, oh, how's it? Where are you from? And they'll be like, oh, Pasadena. You know, I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah.
If my neighbor says, if can, if no can,
No can.
no can.
Yeah. But so they're from Big Island?
I'm not sure. I think so, but they also lived in Maui.
Oh, okay. So if they're from Big Island, they might know Verna's because there's a popular restaurant that's their saying. It's like, if can, if no can, Verna's. Like,
Oh, okay.
it's just one of those. It's kind of like Verna's is like our like Alfredo's. Like it's a little hole in the wall, little small restaurant, open late. You get all kind of food. Like Verna's is that's their slang saying. If can, if no can, or.
So you grew up and you had this love for music, and I would say you were an entrepreneur very early on as well, right? Selling musubi and at school.
Yep.
And then you come here to pursue music. And what happens then in your journey?
I just really doubled down. Well, one of the biggest changes that happened here is that when I was in high school and when I was doing music back home in Hilo, I was also wanting to be an artist. I wanted to rap. And when I came here, I was like thrust into like a real professional rap setting. And I was just like, wow, maybe I shouldn't rap because I felt like I didn't have as much to say as these artists that I was working with. Like, I was like, wow, these guys really have something to say. And I got really in tune into the technical side. So yeah, I mean, that journey really helped shape me because it taught me that there are many careers outside of being the person in front of the camera and in front of the microphone. There's producers, there's engineers, there's studio managers, there's tour managers. When I was working on the internship and I saw how many people were around, and I was like, oh, there's a career, you know? So I guess, yeah, that really helped me with future projects because I never wanted to settle for like a corporate job, if that makes sense. I mean, it's not for me. For some people, they enjoy being able to clock in, clock out, turn off, and like enjoy their time. But for some reason, I've settled for a life that is like, that's not that, you know? And because I got that exposure early, I was 18 still, because I remember leaving Hawaii a week after I turned 18. And then, it was like August 9th, 2007. Like, I left Hawaii. So I was considering that, like, now I have a son that, I don't know if you have kids, but I have a son that's 13. And I kind of imagine, like, him, or I have nephews that are 18. And I'm like, man, I'm still a kid. So then I left by myself to go to Arizona, and that program was only 8 months. So then by the time I left Arizona to come here, and my family helped me move here, and I settled into that apartment in San Gabriel, and they left me, and my brother drove back to Vegas. My dad went back home to Hawaii, and it was just me in an apartment having to dictate every single decision that I make. You know, like what time I go to bed, when I wash my laundry, what I'm going to wear to this job interview, what time I'm going to show up to this studio, how late am I going to stay. It just, for me to do that at still being a teenager, not even being old enough to buy alcohol for the artists that were asking me to buy alcohol as an intern, was like, in hindsight, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Did you miss home at all?
Oh yeah, right away. I mean, you go back every year, And then it wasn't until like 5 years in that I really realized that this was home. Even saying that sounds as kind of forced, because it's like I tell people Hawaii is my home. This is just where I live, you know. But missing home is, I mean, that's a big part of everything. I think everybody, well, it's having roots is important, but it also was really interesting knowing that home for me was a place that people were really obsessed over, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you were to move somewhere, some people might not know San Gabriel. Everywhere I can go, if I tell people from Hawaii, they're going to have a story. They're going to have a memory. They're going to ask me. Before it was it was like the same three things. It was like Dog the Bounty Hunter, Spam Musubi, or BJ Penn.
Really?
They'll be like, oh, you're from Hawaii. I watched Dog the Bounty Hunter. Or you're from Hawaii. Do you know BJ Penn? Or do you from Hawaii? I love Spam Musubi. So I was having these conversations with people, and it shaped how I looked at the world and how they looked at us. And I caught on early that, okay, Hawaii is a character to you guys. Hawaii's you go on Amazon and you type Hawaii and you see grass skirts and flowers and you know, and like pineapples. I say, okay, this is what you guys think. So I played into it, you know.
I'm glad I never said any of those things to you.
No, but it's great. These are all positive things. Like these are all beautiful representations of our culture. So how can you get upset if someone talked about hunters? No, but it's, I mean, those things are cool people. I know they worked in Kona, and some of the people that worked on that show I ended up working with for like a music tour like in 2010. Like, so missing home was a big thing, but it was really cool to see, like, I missed home, but it made it a little bit less bad. I don't know. That's my pigeon coming back. It made it not as bad knowing that my home was something that people knew, so I could talk about it with people, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan, you left Hawaii in 2008 to chase music in LA. Mm-hmm. What do you remember about those early days? And was there a moment where you thought, this might actually work? Yeah,
I mean, walking into the studio, so you mentioned earlier is that I was on an internship with Snoop Dogg and Doggystyle. That was really interesting, and like I couldn't believe it. I remember walking into the studio on one of my first days and seeing Corrupt, Daz Dillinger, and Snoop Dogg, and these are people that my older siblings got in trouble listening to when we were in Hawaii. Like my dad found the CD, you know, type, you know, and like
explicit lyrics.
Yeah, so
on it.
What is this? You know, and so this is stories that my family we share every time we see each other. Remember the time, you know, and then you got in trouble, and then look what happened. Then, you know, now Jordan working for him, and I was like, okay, this might work, you know. And when I left, it was everybody knew, like all my classmates, all my teachers, you're going to the mainland, you're going to do this, good luck. Like I almost brought my high school yearbook because I pulled it out of storage recently, and all the, you know how people write in the yearbooks, all these messages. Even then, like before JMKM was my name, because that's my initials, so people were like, JMKM, you're gonna make it, don't forget me. And I was just like, wow, I really set out to do this. It was up and down, because there were moments after that I was like, maybe this is not gonna work. But right away I was like, either I'm lucky or I'm favored or I'm just working really hard. But to be in this position, even though it was an unpaid internship, guys, let's also, like, I use that on my resume. I worked with a lot of artists through Snoop and his team, and they're like super great. Like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those people that I was around, including Snoop himself, because he was really, like, literally the nicest dude ever. Like people always ask me, how is he? I'm like, he is just as chill as you see on TV. Never saw a bad side to bro. And we were in pretty intimate situations, you know? I wouldn't, those are the moments, but it happened early. So we also had some, there were some trials and tribulations to get through that, to get to where we are, for sure.
Can you talk about some? I mean, what were some of those difficult times? I
mean, unpaid internship, this is a different time, you know, like now those are not really allowed. I don't know if the music industry still does them. For the podcast that I work on, we have interns, they're paid, you know, and we're from the old school, so we would have to pay our dues, you know. So there was money coming in, and then, you know, when you're at that age and you're around so many people that want what you have, as far as like everyone needs an engineer, everyone needs the guy in the chair to sit down and record and make them sound good. So, hey, well, what's your number? Let's work. So I remember having moments where I was conflicted because I would meet an artist and they would want to work with me. So I'll do some side work for them. Then I have to decide, like, am I working for this artist or am I holding out for this huge artist that I think is the biggest artist in the world and it's going to work out? And, don't get me wrong, it is an unpaid internship, but there's still a lot of perks in the payment and the knowledge and the payment and being in those rooms. To me personally, it was worth it. But it's really hard to be an intern for as long as I was an intern, especially out here. Things are different, in 2008, but still California's pretty expensive. Yeah. So
not as expensive as Hawaii though.
Yeah. I tell people Big Island, best way to describe it, Big Island's kind of like Pomona. Like if you're living in California and you're living in Culver City, your cost of living is higher than if you're living in Pomona. Honolulu is like Santa Monica. So when you hear all these stories of how expensive Hawaii is, they're talking about the stuff they see on the internet of people walking into a food land that's on a resort and the milk is $10. But if you go to the Target in Hilo, the milk is the same price as over here. But
really?
It's just, well,
but that's what kama'aina though, right?
Yeah, kama'aina. Well, actually, I take that back. Not milk, but certain things. Here's a pro tip. If you're from Hilo, if you go to the local grocery stores, if you go to Target will price match with the mainland prices. But also I'm conflicted because when I go home, I like shop at KTA and Sack and Save, the local grocery stores. Keaukaha General, but their prices are marked up because sometimes they're buying the stuff from Target, from Walmart to sell in their stores, But anyway, you don't have to use that. It's up to you. Yeah, so it's hard to intern. So having to choose where I'm going to go and how I'm going to get paid. And, I was fortunate where for the first 8 months, I was able to only do the music stuff. And I had instead of going to a traditional 4-year school with this kind of school debt, I took out like a loan that would cover my school plus, which I think was a really genius idea on my parents' part, because when I came out here, I was able to get an apartment, get a car, and have rent paid for a few months, which, debt is not, I don't encourage anybody to go into debt for their dreams. But if it wasn't for that, I also don't think I would have been able to be here, because some of my peers that were also interning, they had to work. They were like working full time and interning. So I made myself completely available all the time. So I was there and met a lot of people. And so I started working with other artists, and then eventually, the artist, one of the producers that I was working with ended up leaving the label. And so I went with him. So then we went independent route. And then I started learning the independent music scene, opening up a small studio in a random spot, like in an office space, advertising on Craigslist, getting people to come record, and then seeing the ups and downs of that. And then also having to get a job. I got a job here at the Santa Anita Mall, working at Macy's, and that's where I met my wife. And I have friends that are Unreal Poke supporters that come every week, and that's when I started to build my community here. I started to build this other life where I was like, this is Jordan. He's from Hawaii and he does music, but I was like working at Macy's at the same time. So because of that, I had ups and downs. I feel like who knows, if I would have stuck it out and not had to work, maybe I would be in a different place. You know what I mean? But it's hard to really look at it that way. I don't have any regrets though, for sure. The main ups and downs was just trying to get paid. Yeah. Trying to sustain, because my mom called me and was like, okay, you got to start working now, Yeah. The funds were finite. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you mentioned your son is 13 years old.
Yep.
What's a moment where being a father shaped how you show up in your work now?
Bringing another human into this universe is a big deal. And it happens in such a nonchalant way. My partner and I, we were kids still, I was 21, been out here for a couple years, still chasing this dream of I'm going to be the next Dr. Dre. And I was only supposed to be out here for 5 years. That was my plan. I was like, I'll be out for 5 years and I'm going to come back and build a mansion and I'm going to be the next Dr. Dre in Hawaii. And so reality set in, and you have to really kick things into gear and be like, I'm here, So just working. I mean, I would argue that if it wasn't for him, that I might, not saying I would have given up, but my decisions that I made might be different. And, to double down and make sure I put in the extra hours. And even when I did have a 9 to 5 for a little bit when he was born, like doing the 9 to 5 and the 5 to 9 grind, right? They say, or 5 to 11 or 5 to 2 a.m. or whatever, you know. And so that's everything. So that shaped everything.
When did you make the transition to food and Unreal Poke?
Yeah, I made the transition to food naturally over time because, like I mentioned earlier, food is also one of the main pillars that people mention when we talk about being from Hawaii. And I started to know that the one thing that people got right about my culture was the food. And I would judge people's knowledge of Hawaii based on the food that they would tell me. Some people would say, spam musubi. Some people would say, lao lao. And I'd be like, oh, you know, if you know, you know. So I would, when I was working at Macy's, actually, I would do like musubi parties. Like, you know, my partner and I, we had our son, we had an apartment. We were both still working at Macy's. So I remember one of our good friends, you know, Tiffany, she's from El Monte. She's like still one of our regulars now. She worked at Macy's with us. She would be like, I love musubi. So we would invite them over. We'd make spam musubi. And I found that like the love language of cooking for people was a big deal for me. And then I found that creating food and serving people gave me the same endorphins, I guess, as creating music or, you know, working with an artist and making them sound good and then being like, damn, Jay, like that sounds good, is the same as like, this tastes good. So right away I started like plotting, like I want to do food. I had a good friend of mine that we wanted to do like, the North Star was like food truck, 626 night market. Remember when 626 first started happening? And we're like, we're going to do musubi. It's going to call it Worldwide Musubi. And he was working with me part-time at this biopharmaceutical company in City of Industry that I was working at, doing IT stuff on the side of doing my music thing. And we were going to do it. And then unexpectedly one day he didn't show up to work and I got a call that he was in the hospital and he passed away like a week later. Oh, and we had all these plans and we had the logo and I had the recipes. So then I kind of like, he was willing to put up the money to get the truck and we were like doing R&D and we were going to do carne asada musubi, bulgogi musubi, pork belly musubi, katsu musubi. Every musubi comes with a side of koroke, really fusing like the Japanese and LA worldwide musubi, right? It makes sense. But it just didn't happen. And then I was just like, pause. And then, but then I that helped me launch my music career full time again. Cause I was like, I'm not here to work at this job. I'm going to do something. And so food was always something that I was going to do. And I just kind of put it on the back burner for a few years. This is 2015. And then I met Adam and Doreen from East Los Musubi, and they're from El Sereno. And I was doing my music events and I needed a food caterer. And I met them and we clicked. Doreen's family is from Maui and Adam's from here. And I was like, they're solid, they're family run business. And they like, I told them the same story. Like I used to sell musubi and blah, blah, blah. So then one day they asked me to help because Adam had like a family emergency. So I went to help and I started selling musubis with them. And then I just never stopped. I would always do my music thing. I had my studio, I was podcasting, but every now and then I get a call from Adam and he'd be like, can you help me on this day? And it was never no obligation, you know? But let me rewind. But before that, there was a moment where once we started really clicking, I think I literally asked him like in a Facebook message, like, will you be my mentor kind of thing? Cause he's a chef. He went to culinary school, worked at actual, real culinary establishments, learning how to do a pop-up. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. I didn't know what I needed to do, set up easy up, hot temperature holding, cold holding, all these things. Right. So he literally was like, yeah. And then I remember he gave me an apron and was like, you're rocking with me, So then I've been rocking with him ever since. So poke started to be on the menu every now and then. And then we would do stuff like garlic chicken or, Korean chicken. We call it in Hilo. We would do poke. We had a mutual group of friends called Grub Life. And they would do like Filipino food pop-ups. And one of their members started this thing called Poke Party. So I started helping him too. And then literally he taught me how to scale up and how to do poke by the pound, where to get the fish from at high quality, going to the fish markets over there in downtown at 6 a.m. so I was doing Poke Party in East Los Musubi and doing all this fun stuff, and then you know, Mike from Poke Party kind of retired from Poke Party, and you know, the Maui fires happened in 2023, and we did a fundraiser with Adam and Doreen, and I remember doing like 40 pounds of poke, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And people kept saying like, you should do this, like when are you gonna do poke? And I had been saying at this point for a few years now that like, oh, one day I'm gonna do my own food thing, but right now I'm just working with my homies. Like that was my story. One of my friends was like, why not just do it? And then I was just like, oh man, maybe I should just do it. So then literally me and my partner Emron, we went and just like concepted in like 2 days, everything. And then my wife, she actually helped me come up with the name, because I was like, it needs to be like legit, it needs to be unreal, it needs to be, you know, like, and she's like, Unreal Poke, that's it. You know, so literally in the span of like a weekend, we like did it. And then we did a pop-up with Adam and Doreen at their house. It was like our first Unreal Poke East Los Musubi pop-up. That's like a offshoot of their concept. So they're my OGs. Like I owe them everything, literally, you know.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that story.
Yeah.
Jordan, we ask each guest to bring an item with them. What did you bring with you today?
So I brought a lettering piece from one of my good friends. His name is also Jordan. Should I pick it up, show it to the camera?
This camera here.
And if not, we can pop it up on the screen. I don't know if there's glare. This literally came off the wall, kind of dusty, but it says, don't let your dreams just be dreams. It's a hand lettering piece. It's inspired by a song by two creative artists from the Inland Empire that I work with, by the names of Noah James and Cam Gnarly. And they are artists that play a big part of my music career here. And they had a song, and there was just a chorus, and it was just like, don't let your dreams just be dreams. And it stuck to me, and I don't know how this came about, but Jordan, he's done all of our logos for all of my projects, from food projects to my studio. Jordan Quillar, look him up. He did this piece and gifted it to me, and it's been in every room that I've created in. So we had our studio in Glendora where we did podcasting, you know, during the pandemic. It was on the wall there, and then it came home. Now it's in my home office, and it's just a reminder to just stay active with your dreams. Like, don't let them just be dreams. Whatever you think you can do, just do it, you know?
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that in.
Yeah, so I'll send you all the graphic too.
Well, I want to get more into Unreal Poke and what you guys are doing, but
yeah.
And also the podcast, but let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Yep.
Sometimes, even the best of us can slip up. That's why the law offices of Scott Wormuth are here to pick you back up again.
And while they strive to get you the biggest compensation possible, oh my God.
Their main concern is your health and recovery. They work closely with doctors and insurance companies to make sure you get the proper medical treatment.
Initial consultations are free, so give them a call.
At the law offices of Scott Wormuth, we're with you all the way.
I'm Scott Wormuth. We've been fighting for your rights for more than 40 years.
All right, we're back with Jordan. Jordan, when we come back from the break, we like to ask questions from this deck of cards called Icebreakers. Okay. And they're just a fun way for the audience to get to know us a little bit better.
All right,
I'll be answering also.
All right, let's do it.
Jordan, what activity or sport did you try as a kid and fail at?
Basketball.
Oh, no.
So quick, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You weren't good at basketball, huh?
I was good. Just depends on who you ask. No, I was tall. Like, I was this height when I was like 11. So I just stopped growing. My doctor said that I was going to be 6+. So I thought I was going to be the NBA. My name is Jordan. So, like, obviously, I'm from the Michael Jordan era. Basketball is my everything. I just sprained my ankle a couple 2-3 times, and I never recovered.
Oh,
you know,
no, okay.
I played like through middle school and high school. I mean, elementary and middle school. I never played in high school. Let's get that square. But yeah, it was fun. Basketball is my favorite sport still, though.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I love basketball, but for me, I played soccer one season. They stuck me in the goalie. Yeah. It was horrible, man. It was like I didn't look forward to practice. I didn't look forward to games. I was deathly afraid to let a goal go past. Mm-hmm. It was like the worst thing you could do for me. Yeah. Right? And I never played again. Yeah. I never played again. So yeah, that was my sport.
Yep.
If you're watching if you're watching online or listening, let us know what activity or sport did you try and fail as a kid. All right, so before we get into Unreal Poke, talk about your podcast. Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, so right now I'm one of the producers on Lone Lobos Podcast, starring Xolo, Maridueña, and Jacob Bertrand.
And for those who don't know those names,
yes. So they're from the Netflix series Cobra Kai. I mean, Jacob has done other great things such as Kirby Buckets. He was on iCarly, Bubble Guppies, Bat Wheels, a few upcoming projects that we can't talk about yet. And Xolo was in Parenthood, and really took off as Miguel on Cobra Kai. So he is like the Karate Kid. So no spoilers if you haven't seen the most recent season, but he wins it all.
Dude, I loved it when he came back and they were wearing the
Cobra Kai geese. Yeah, dude.
My heart. Oh my gosh.
And that was the hardest thing for me to. So we filmed the podcast while they were filming everything. So like we knew everything. So I was just like really excited for that moment. And then Jacob plays Hawk.
Yeah.
Hawk is personally my favorite character. My son Noah, he does karate, and every tournament, everything he does, I'd be like, be a Hawk, do Hawk. I'd be like, Hawk season 3 versus Brooks, beat him up, like. So yeah, they're from Cobra Kai. A podcast is not a Cobra Kai podcast per se, like a companion show. Like there are companion shows for like Boy Meets World, for example, but inherently we have guests. We've had Ralph Macchio, Yuji Okamoto, which are from the original Karate Kid and Karate Kid 2. And all the cast members. So I've been really blessed to be a part of that universe and do some really cool things. I've gone to some of the red carpet premieres and some of the Netflix events, and done some podcasting with them, and that's been really fun. But yeah, that came about just because like I said, I was in the podcast space pretty early. 2018 I opened my studio. My company is called Productive Culture, and we were based in Glendora, and I had full service, multiple podcasts coming in and out. I never really wanted to do my own. I had one briefly about food with Adam and Mike Rock from East Los Musubi and Poke Party. But I also started working with a local nonprofit in Boyle Heights called the Boyle Heights Arts Conservatory. And the executive director called me one day, and she's like, my son is starting a podcast, and you have a space and we have producers already, and it ended up not working out because the space I had was like, my team is involved and we're there to welcome you to the space, and you pay X amount. They were just looking for a space, and I didn't really catch on to that. So I didn't end up producing the podcast. But a year into the podcast, I got a call again that they were looking for some help with video and doing a live stream, which I was pretty tapped into. And her son is Xolo. So I had known that her son was the kid from Cobra Kai, and I'd met him in passing and being at the space. And, at that nonprofit, we focus on, teaching media arts and art to incarcerated youth, as well as like after school programs and local school districts. We've even done stuff here at Del Mar High School nearby in San Gabriel. So it's a really great nonprofit to work with. So it just by chance that I had stayed around, and even though I didn't produce the first 50 episodes with them, I was always like, hey, what's up with the podcast? Every time I would see them, I'd be like, let me know. So I kind of like manifested that. I know some people really hate like manifesting things or people talking about it, but I was like, man, I really want to get involved with that podcast. And we started a whole new season together on video. So we went from episode 55 to episode 0, went with a new provider because we were on another platform, but then we started our own platform like YouTube, Spotify, and then that was 2020, beginning of 2023. And right now we're about 120 episodes in. Every single week through filming Blue Beetle and Cobra Kai and all of that. We've done an episode every week, and it's been challenging, but it's fun. So I kind of play like Victoria's role to for the listeners of this episode. Like I'm usually sitting where you're sitting, controlling, and the main hosts are bantering. But then every now and then they'll be like, Jordan, what do you think? Or I'll have to jump in sometimes when the conversation gets reckless. I'll be like, wait, actually, you're wrong about this, So it's a really cool thing for me.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Congratulations on that. All right, so I got an idea of how the Poke thing sort of came about. Like you're seeing this, you're experiencing it with your friends.
Yep.
you also have this, cultural background with food.
Yep.
And you like to see the enjoyment of what you create with food.
Mm-hmm.
Your partner, where you're going to go into the musubi business,
Yep.
passes.
Yep.
And so now you're onto your own thing.
Yep.
You created almost overnight. And what was the dream? What was the vision at that point when you're like, okay, let's do this. Let's create Unreal Poke.
It's tricky because if you ask my team, meaning my business partner and my partner, my wife, it was not where we're at now, because it was like, let's just try this. It'll be something we do on the weekends. And I tend to do that. And they know me well enough to know that if you put them two together, they'll be like, okay, Jordan's at it again. What is he thinking? And they trust, and they're very good at checking me when something is too big and being like, we need to slow down or we need to do this. But from the beginning, my North Star was like 6 to 6 night market, never a restaurant, because I'm like, I want to do podcasting. I want to do these other things. And I can't do that if I have a restaurant. I want to just do a pop-up, and that's still sort of the case. But at the time the goal was like, I really want to be able to do these pop-ups at a pretty large scale. Because some of the other pop-ups that I see, I see that when you're at a mom and pop level, there's limits to how far it can go to a certain extent, depending on the support they have around them. And because I knew that this was going to be like a self-funded, driven thing with the team and the mentors that I work with, that I wasn't sure that this would be super big, but I knew that I wanted to do it at a little bit of a bigger scale. So 6 to 6 night market or like festivals, for example, was like a goal, like Coachella or those kind of things. So we pretty much hit that goal right away as far as like being able to do 6 to 6 within our first year. But I guess a real quick, more simpler answer to that, what was our goal, is I just wanted to show people what real poke was, regardless of the scale. So food activism, in a sense, is part of what we do,
So Jordan, you mentioned food activism. So why is food activism so important to you? And what does authenticity really mean when you're building a business in the San Gabriel Valley?
Yeah. I think food activism, to me, when I say that, some people, they have that same question, like, what do you mean? Like, what do you, and I word it like this, that the culture of Hawaii and the food of Hawaii is something that is often misinterpreted, even like what is Hawaiian food, Chicken katsu and spam musubi is not Hawaiian food. There's no such thing as Hawaiian barbecue. Hawaiians didn't cook on a barbecue. They cooked in an imu underground, So what is the difference between Hawaii food, local food, and Hawaiian food? So by the menu that we design and the ingredients that we use, because poke is traditionally I guess you call it pre-colonial, like it's an authentic Hawaiian food, right? Now the version that we make it, that you see in Foodland or at Poke Express or Unreal Poke, it has sesame oil and shoyu. This is not, these are not Hawaiian foods, but it has pa'akai, which is Hawaiian salt. It has limu, which is the seaweed. So I guess by including these things in my menu that the random poke joints that are around here don't include, this is my way of demonstrating food activism, leading by example and with aloha rather than making a fuss. I was tempted to go down a rabbit hole years ago and start doing Yelp reviews of each of these poke places, and I'm not gonna lie, there's some poke places that closed here in SGV, and I would kind of be like, it's a victory, because I'd be like, they spell poke wrong, there's no tie to the culture, how is that? And it would get me upset. But then I was like, it's just food. There's, you know what I mean? People
Sure.
like, I would talk to people back home, some of my elders, some of my friends, and they would think it was funny, but they wouldn't get upset about it. So what was I overcompensating for by getting so upset because somebody spelled poke with the I instead of with the E?
Sure.
I think it's a valid reason to get upset, and people should look at, if you're going to open a restaurant and misspell another culture's language that you're not a part of and you're making money off of that culture, there's a place for you. And that's pretty wild to me. Like, can you imagine if, think of any culture that's so loved here in the SGV, whether it's Vietnamese or Chinese or, there's so much good food here. If someone just opened up like a dim sum spot in the middle of like Texas, but spelled all their menu items wrong, wouldn't you, as like a SGVer, be like, hold on, bro? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, sure.
But yeah, that's what food activism for me is.
Awesome. Unreal Poke is more than just food. It's culture, story, and identity. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about a moment when someone tasted your food and you felt the connection go deeper than just the food?
Oh yeah, it happens at every pop-up. Every pop-up, no matter the scale, there's always someone from Hawaii. And there's always someone that, or they went to Hawaii and they tell me I haven't been able to try a good poke since I went there. Some people say when I went to Hawaii, I stopped eating poke in the SUV. And I said, and then they tell me, you have the best poke outside of Hawaii. And I tell them, I appreciate that, but when you're having my poke, you're in Hawaii.
Awesome.
Because I'm not from, like, don't put me in the category of someone that is not tied to Hawaii starting to do poke. Put me in the category, like, if you have good poke in Hawaii and you say, oh, I love, Suisan or like Tanioka's or Foodland, like, put Unreal Poke in that category. Because just like getting tacos over here, there's different preferences. Some days you feel like having, Karina. Some days you feel like having this place, So there's no one poke place in Hawaii. People are loyal to many poke places. So that experience happens all the time here. And that goes deeper than food. And I'm more than glad to serve the person that is just like a fan of poke that finds us on Yelp and that comes and picks up poke and they have no idea what it is and they're just coming home from their gym workout. That's still good to me. But it's the ones that come that are like, especially the transplants that are like, we start speaking that, there's like oh, I'm from Hawaii. Oh, I'm from Hawaii. Where are you from? And then they say, oh, I'm from Oahu. Okay. What high school you went? What year you grad? And then we instantly connect. And I have so many customers that are supporters of us now that I met through Unreal Poke 6 months ago, last week at a festival with 40,000 people. I remember distinctly there's like 2 or 3 people that I met that I'm shaking hands with that they're from my hometown. And I can tell by looking at them that the interaction is a big deal to them too. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that's special.
Yeah. The biggest connection that anybody has is geographical.
Yep.
Meaning like if someone came to you and they're like, oh, you have Puerto Rican roots or you're part Japanese.
Yeah.
It means nothing to you, right? Like, because they can be from Japan. Yep. You have that connection, but you're like, whatever. But instantly when you're connected to a geographical area, you're like, oh, I know what it was like to grow up there, right? I know what those places are. So
yeah, I feel that way here too. Like I've been here for some years now. So like when people say San Gabriel or Las Tunas, like I have memories, you know what I mean? So right now, just to represent, because right now I call El Monte home. I've been in El Monte for the past 14 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. El Monte is SGV. So.
Yeah, it's special. And I have some restaurant recommendations. We'll talk about that later, but mostly from around that area.
So we're going to get into that, but before that, talk quickly about your offerings. So when I went, I only got, I think, one style. I got the poke nachos. But what offerings of poke do you do?
So because we're a pop-up, our menu is always rotating and changing. But at our core, we usually do a shoyu poke and a spicy ahi poke, and then we usually have a third flavor that is usually like one of our favorites. So like a ahi garlic crunch or ahi California roll. And we serve poke by the pound, just like how you get it back home in Hawaii, in the little deli containers, half pound, full pound. We also serve it as a poke bowl. But we also have these things called poke bombs. That's kind of one of our signature dishes, which is like a inari sushi topped with poke. And then we'll have our poke flight, which is like all 3 flavors of the day. So when we're at a pop-up, depending on where we're featured at, sometimes we're at like our friend's restaurant, B&C Teriyaki, or we're at like another kitchen, or we're at a festival. We have to scale up or scale down what our menu is. So if we don't have more than 2 flavors, we sometimes won't have the poke flight. But then we have creative things, like we have really good garlic shrimp, like North Shore style garlic shrimp. We're doing a loco moco this week, or by the time you're seeing this, we just did a loco moco. And we do things like Kalua pig, like other like Hawaii classics that will rotate. And as we get towards opening up a brick and mortar soon, we'll be able to offer more of those classics. But our offerings, I would say, is like specifically also Big Island style food, because it differs from island to island. Loco moco was invented on Big Island, and
was it?
Yeah. And so is a musubi, but it depends on who you ask. There's different style, and even the way we do spam musubi in Big Island is different than other islands. So like, sometimes I'll do musubi like Big Island style. Sometimes I do it regular style, I guess, which is like spam in the middle versus spam on top.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sauce or no sauce. We never really used to put sauce, and it was just spam and rice, furikake for sure. But those are the offerings. I'm excited to have you guys try more things. There's a lot of things I want to make that specifically tie into really regional, plantational, Hamakua coast, Big Island style food.
Is mochiko chicken Big Island thing?
Yeah, they have it there. We have this thing, it's called nori chicken. It's basically mochiko chicken, but it's wrapped with like a strip of nori and then fried. When I show people from Oahu that, they're like, what is that? And that's something that it's really, really special. But mochiko chicken, it's kind of like, I would say it's kind of like karaage, really. A lot of the food in Hawaii is just under a different name,
Sure.
Yeah.
So, if I go tomorrow, is there going to be the poke flight? Or
yes.
There will be?
Yeah, there will be the poke flight. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, 100%. I got you.
All right. So, Jordan, we're going to move on to the final segment of the show where we get to learn what you like to eat in San Gabriel Valley.
Yep.
All right, Jordan, this is what we call the SGV3, and we get to learn your 3 favorite places to get some ono grinds in the SGV.
Oh, yes, sir.
So what would be number 1?
They're not ranked in order.
No.
I wrote down like 5 of them, so I'm just going to, whatever comes out, the honorable mention, sorry. Well, one of them that I like to mention is this place off of Garvey, and I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce the name wrong, so if you know, but it's called Viet Hong, and it's pho. And I recently found out that the owners, coincidentally, they also have ties to Hawaii, because we went there after a pop-up recently, and we were telling them, like, we love your food. We just had a pop-up. We do poke. And they're like, oh, we're from Hawaii, too. And it was like a really cool connection. I've been going there forever. And I just found out that the team there has ties to Hawaii. So they're really good pho. But really, everything else, like, there's so much good food there. Have you been there?
I've not, but it's hard to deviate from good pho when you go there, right? Like, there's a whole menu, but you still get the pho, right?
Yeah, and now that's what I've been doing lately is I've been eating pho there for so long that now I'm just like, I'll just randomly be like, number 33, and I've never had anything that's been bad. Like I had like this papaya salad one time, and that was really good. It had like tofu in it, and then they have a bunch of good food there. So that's one.
What was it called again?
Viet Hong.
Okay.
So HUONG on Garvey in Santa Anita and El Monte.
Okay, awesome.
Another spot. This is kind of a sleeper. This spot is called Point Dume Chinese Food in El Monte. Have you been there?
No.
Have you heard of it?
No.
See, I knew these would be kind of some sleepers.
Okay.
It's just like a hole in the wall. They serve family style. There's always like these 2 aunties there. They're always arguing. They're always like really nice to you, but then as soon as they turn their back, they're arguing with each other. And to me, that's a sign that the food is about to be bomb. And cash only. That's another thing. I'm not sure like what style of Chinese food per se, because I'm not the most versed on specifics, because I know there's different styles. Yeah.
What do you get there?
Honestly, I love getting like their stir fried veggies, because it comes with garlic veggies, and then they also have like a good honey walnut shrimp. So it's like they do like Americanized Chinese food, but it's like it feels a little more legit, if you feel me.
Yeah.
And then I just like getting like their like oysters. They have like an oyster sauce chicken, I think, too, as well.
Okay.
Yeah, Point Dume.
And the third one.
Oh man, see, because I feel like I'm gonna leave some out. I guess since we're in the in El Monte, let's just keep it to El Monte.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'm gonna do another one.
Okay.
This is a new restaurant to the SGV, and it's probably hands down one of the best burgers that I've ever had, and it's Amboy Burger in West Covina at the Haven City Market.
Oh, I just saw a reel on that. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Alvin Kailan, he's a chef. He's from Pico Rivera. Is Pico considered SGV? No, that's 562. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't include them in the SGV.
What about Whittier?
We don't, but I think a large portion of Whittier does not also. So
okay.
there's not a lot of contention there.
Oh, okay. I'm just no disrespect. I love Whittier, Pico, all SGV, 562, 6909, all of it. You shout out to the IE too. Like, IE is they're like our neighbors here. But Alvin, I met him recently, and I've been doing some pop-ups with them at their Chinatown location. And they recently opened up a Haven City Market. It's a really cool food hall. It reminds me of like 626 Night Market indoors every day, because it's just like a food stall. You walk up to it, you order. And as a restaurateur, you think about that concept. Like, what if I could just have a stall and not have to worry about opening up a restaurant and building restrooms and dining room tables and those things? So they have a really good burger called the DH. And it's like a dry-aged, thick burger that they cook like a steak. It's really good. I recommend it.
Meaning medium rare inside.
Meaning they're basing it in beef tallow, and it's cooked in a skillet instead of on a flat top. So like you would get a steak, and you know how you see they put like herbs on it and they baste it with butter. Like that's how they cook their burger, and it comes out with a really nice crust. So this is not a paid advertisement, by the way, which
sounds good.
Yeah, cut the check. No, but Amboy Burger in SGV is one of my favorites.
Awesome.
Can I just shout out a runner-up then? Or no, it's only 3.
It is only 3,
okay,
but you could be one of the violators, because one person came here and we're like, okay, I got 3 different categories and like three for each category.
Yeah, no. You haven't tried that? You haven't tried Amboy either?
I have not, yeah.
Okay, cool. So we'll leave it at that then, since these are 3 restaurants that you haven't tried.
Go ahead and shout out. Who do you want to shout out?
My last one is in El Monte is called Karina's Tacos. Have you heard of that one?
No.
So it's really interesting. They have a food truck and they have a restaurant in like a little plaza that's by where the 99 cents used to be, 99-cent store off of Durfee. And right in that same plaza, they have another restaurant. So in one footprint, they have 3 concepts. But it's the same thing. So food truck, restaurant, and they do like tacos, quesadillas, nachos, good late night spot. And that's like, ever since I've been in El Monte, that's been like one of my go-tos. But it's tacos are debatable. I was just talking to my barber earlier, and I was like, what do you think about Karina's? He's like, it's all right. And
sure.
He said some place, and I was like, that place is all right. It's to each their own.
Sure.
What's your 3?
Oh,
for the week. I know you probably think about this a lot.
I don't know that I do. I don't eat out that often, because just the way that I eat with my family, I don't eat out as often as I used to.
It's expensive to eat out, yeah.
And we typically buy like a half a side of beef at a time. So there's a lot of protein to go through.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. you go through like a whole. What do you mean, like a half side of beef, like
a whole half cow?
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah. So
that'll last you 8 months, maybe not.
It's less than 6.
Okay, I was gonna say because I don't know what it's like to have an uncle being like, we got some beef.
Yeah, you do less than 6. So, well, I don't know that I can answer that, because I haven't given it thought, and I like to be very thoughtful about that kind of answer. So
sorry, I'm not. You're asking the questions, not me. My bad.
But Jordan, thank you so much for being here today. I may see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. Yeah. So, if you want to get in touch with you, check out your food, or just get in contact with you, what's the best way to do that?
Best way, Instagram for Unreal Poke is at Unreal Poke. You also can email me if you're any catering, unrealpoke808@gmail. Me personally, JMKM808. That's people ask. That's my. You can call me Jordan. You can call me JMKM. You can call me Jay. The J stands for Jordan. So JMKM808 on all platforms, as well as streaming on Spotify as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Another episode in the books for you. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed the conversation with Jordan, just to get to see, where he came from, the things that sort of drove him, his passions, and then his ability to sort of, not only shift, but stay true to what is going to make him happy, what he's going to bring to other people. And I think that ability to shift while remaining true to who you are and your passions is something that we've talked about quite often on this show, and you can see that thread through our guests here. So I hope you got something from this episode. If you like this kind of content, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like and share. If you want to check out our full catalog of episodes, check out our website, mysgv.net. Don't forget to grab yourself a MySGV food passport, mysgvfoodpassport.com. And until next week, we'll see you then. Thank you for joining us on the MySGV podcast. Check out more of our content on our website, mysgv.net. This show was produced by Scott Wormuth, directed by Russell Mano, edited by Victoria Allers, and original music by Yone OG. If you'd like to join us next week as we capture and share more stories from our diverse community, feel welcome.
Nice mother. No, kind of mother.